welcome to another Peachy Keen broadcast. I am Jess the Peach, and as you can see, we have a very special guest with us today. We've got this way.
Hey.
We've got Vicki, aka I Shit in Two, with us here, and we are doing our episode one of our The Same Three Stories podcast. So hopefully, you guys enjoy our stories. Uh, Per request, everyone has been wanting to hear all the crazy stories that Shit and I have experienced in the 13 years we've been best friends. So we figured the easiest way to do this would be chronologically. I mean, we could start when we first met in middle school and just kind of run from there. If you have questions, feel free to ask them along the way. But yeah, we'll try to cover as many stories as we can. We're shooting for about an hour here, so we're hoping to get like an hour's worth of content. If it runs over, that's fine too. Um, but yeah, so that's pretty much it. There's going to be some other stuff in the meantime. We're going to have like game nights and things like that that are also going to happen along the way. But we figured we'd just start with
In
the
the
stories.
bottle.
Spin the bottle.
7 minutes in heaven.
Yes, all the kissing
Yeah.
games you could think of. Thank you so much for the follow, Mike. I appreciate it. How's it going? The same three stories, my ass. You guys are gonna rock. Let's go. Alrighty. Alright, so, yeah, I guess just we could just start off at the beginning. In case you're new here, that that was a host. Oh, it was a host. Thank you for the host. I'm sorry. I read it as a follow. That is 100% my bad. Thank you so much
God
for
damn
the
it.
Thank you so much for the host. And I'm realizing now that the chat box is a little stretched out. So let me see if I can fix that real quick. Let's see here. Because right now I don't feel like messing with it. So no chat box for the stream, but I will work on that next stream. So we'll have the chat
Yeah,
box for the
that's
YouTube.
that's a Twitch problem, not our problem.
Not our problem. That's a you thing.
Yeah. Thoughts and prayers. I hope you fix it.
Thanks. All right, so yeah, let's just get started with essentially how we met. We...
Should I give a little backstory on how I ended up at your school?
Sure.
Okay. Um, so prior to me meeting Jessica, I was briefly at a Catholic school where we made the mutual decision to part ways amicably.
Sure.
And so then I ended up at Jessica's school, which was like a really small, what was our class size?
Um, in the beginning, it was probably like five of us in eighth grade and maybe six and seventh.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it was super small. And before I mutually parted ways with Catholic school, I had just exclusively been in public school up until that point. So it was very much like sending a wolf to hang out with a bunch of sheeps at that point. I will say that Jessica's friendship definitely did a lot to mellow me out and soften a lot of very rough edges.
But yeah, so she joined up. So like I said, we were at a very small middle school, and before she joined, I think there was four girls. All by the way,
Just girls,
just girls in eighth grade, and then seventh grade had like
just boys.
just boys. It was like four boys, and we because it was so small. Seventh and eighth grade were in the same homeroom. Like we all shared like the same space and shared the same teacher, and just was taught slightly different material. Uh, how sharp was she before? Um, but no, yeah. So it was super duper small, and we it was just like really close knit. And I had joined that school in seventh grade, and it was a little bit bigger, but still fairly small when I was there. And then just Robbie looking at the background. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so I started at that middle school in seventh grade. I went to a public school before that as well, and unfortunately had to leave because of I was being bullied. I was being bullied really bad in
They
sixth.
were vicious to you.
They were vicious in sixth grade. Sixth grade was a hellscape for me. And then I tried to stick it out through seventh grade, didn't work. So halfway through seventh grade, I went to this small private school, and yeah, just went through my seventh grade year. And she had joined up in eighth grade year, and she joined about halfway through the eighth grade year.
I joined October 9th.
There you go. She remembers the exact day that she had to start hell.
Yeah, and it was just like a prolonged year of just being like babysat and supervised. I don't remember learning anything.
I, to this day, if I try to remember anything that I've learned, I just remember just being supervised. It's really all it was at school.
Yeah.
And half the time
And
we didn't even do that.
yeah, and when I came, I originally like I didn't click with you.
Yeah.
I clicked with Sophia.
Mm-hmm.
I mean Samantha, whatever.
Whatever.
Um,
As long as you don't drop last names, I think we're good.
I'll drop her address.
Drop her social.
Yeah. Um, and she had kind of already considered herself the outsider
Mm-hmm.
of your group,
Mm-hmm.
remember?
Yeah, because
Um,
it was me, my friend Haley, and then another one of our mutual friends, Star, and then Sophia. And that was the four girls that were in eighth grade before Shitted uh, joined the eighth grade girl squad.
yeah. And I remember because it was either my first or second day, you and Haley got into it.
Yeah, it was literally like your second day.
Yeah. Me and Sophia were just coloring. We had a lot of coloring books for eighth graders.
We colored a lot.
Yeah.
It was good education that we were paying for.
Yeah. And I don't even remember what started the argument. I think it was at first you guys were joking around with each other. You
Yeah.
guys were joking around and somebody like escalated.
I don't even remember to this day. All I remember was somehow we got on the topic of weight. And like,
She called you like twiggy or skinny or something.
right. And
And then you called her stupid.
this is why Serge can't put up with our stories anymore because we just start laughing in the middle of them.
You called her stupid. And at that point, both of you just completely dissolved into like tears.
And
Like you were crying and screaming at her to not call you skinny, and she was crying and screaming at you to not call her stupid. And I remember like looking up from the coloring, and Sophia like didn't look up, and she just mumbled under her breath. She goes, "Don't get involved." And I was kind of like,
just a lot happening back there.
yeah. And so I was just like, oh no, like, they're crying.
Yeah.
And so I went and got it. And honestly, the teacher should have been doing this.
Yeah, by the way, this was in a full classroom with the teachers sitting at their desk. I was at one end of the classroom, Haley was at the other, and we were screaming at each other from across the room. That's
Yeah.
to paint a
So
picture.
I went over and I like grabbed a box of, and I was like giving them to like you and Haley, and like I felt like that kind of really helped to de-escalate it for you guys to be like, oh wait, there's a new girl. Like,
there's an audience. Maybe we should calm down.
yeah. And afterwards, though, with that impression, I was just like, you know what? No, I'm not going to get involved with any of them.
They all
No.
fucking crazy.
Yeah, I was just like, I'm going to stick to like this weird girl, Sophia. We're going to color. Sophia's going to show me her stupid ass vampire books.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. And it only got worse when, because we sat in two rows.
Mm-hmm.
So Jessica sat in the front row and I sat in the back row, almost directly behind her, but almost kind of diagonal a little bit. And I was right next to the marker bin. And Jessica, instead of getting up to put the marker away, which is what I would have done, because I'm not Kobe Bryant, I'm not Michael Jordan, I'm not going to make a free throw with a marker and potentially risk hitting somebody. So I will just say that that's something that I struggle with to this day. Decides to throw the marker. and it hits me. I don't even remember where it hit me.
I don't either. I don't think it was your face or anything. I think it was just like torso region.
Yeah, which like I will admit I overreacted. Because she threw the marker, and then you were just like, "Oh my God, I'm sorry," but you were laughing,
Yeah, because it was just like, oh shit, I hit somebody.
and I was just like, oh, "Okay, she thinks it's funny. She thinks it's funny. That's cute. I can be real funny too."
She got real confident real quick.
And so I kind of sat and I stewed in it, and again overreacted. And we were walking what to lunch.
Yeah, we're lining up for some reason. I can't remember if we're going to lunch or to like a different period or something, but they still made us line up even though there was like eight of us, which I
I
feel to
know,
this
and
day
we
is
were
so
all like
stupid.
14.
Right? Like, let's just go to the next room. Like, just go. You know where you're going. Just why are we lining up? What is this?
Yeah. Um, so Jessica's like walking behind me, and I hear her, and not my best moment. I turned around and I punched her in the boob.
Like, just out of nowhere, I was just mid sentence, and she turned around and clacked me in the
I
tit
depressurized your cabin.
real quick. Um,
And I remember you grabbing your boob and kind of like stinking to the floor.
very slowly.
And
It was a very slow descent.
and you were also laughing and crying.
Yeah, because it's like, I'm in pain, but like, she got me.
Yeah. And the teacher was just like, "What's going on? What's going on?" I was like, "Fuck." So I'm like picking her up. I'm like, "She's laughing. We're having a good time. She's laughing. She just fell."
And the whole time in my ear, she's like, get up, get up, get up, get up. And
And then we continued to kind of be not friends until like I had a bunch of clothes that I was getting rid of. I told Sophia, and I did I tell you, or you were just there?
I think you told me. I think you're
Okay.
like came up to me like, "Hey, you're all so skinny. Would you
All right,
like
because
some
we were
skinny
the only
clothes?"
people like remotely the same size.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, "Hey, like I'm getting a bit of run. I'm getting rid of clothes. Like, do you want to come over, look through it?" And you, yeah, sure. And then you did. And I had a stack of Sims games in the corner, and you were like, "You play The Sims?"
Because I was all about the Sims in middle school. That was my peak Sims age was middle school. So like, I literally would spend like 8 to 12 hours a day on Sims because we didn't have homework because we weren't actually getting a real education. So I would just go to school, come home, play Sims, go to bed.
Right.
Hero, thank you so much for the raid of 18. Let's go. Welcome
Oh
everybody.
shit. Okay.
Let's go. Look at all that hype. Thank you so much for the follow, Shivering Panda. Appreciate that. Right now, we are just doing a podcast. This is I am Just the Peach, and this is I Should It Too, aka Vicky. We're discussing how we met and our middle school stories and all the craziness that is going on. So we're just starting off. This is the first episode of a series that we plan on doing where we just discuss the crazy shit that's happened to us in our lives. So welcome. Thank
Yeah,
you so much.
prepare to be disappointed.
Thank you so much for the follow stacks. I appreciate it. What up, bearded? Um, but yeah, so where were we? We were talking of
Sims.
Sims, right?
Sims.
Yeah, so I was in peak Sims age at this time, and I saw that she had Sims like sitting on her desk, and I was just like, mutual thing we can bond over,
And then I dropped Sophia immediately.
because Sims beats all.
Yeah, and also, God, she was just.
Weird.
Can I talk shit about her? Is that
Yeah,
okay?
yeah. Who gives a
Okay.
shit?
Okay. She had like a big superiority complex back then. I don't know what she's like now, but back then, like, she was definitely like, "I like vampires, and that makes me different. You
Which
guys are normies."
which like this was like the age of like Twilight. So like,
I think this was pre-Twilight.
was it pre-Twilight?
Yeah, she had like this graphic novel book that
Okay.
was all about vampires, and she'd be like, "Yeah, like this is my boyfriend," and would like show me the vampire. I'm like, "Oh, okay, not gonna take your man. Moving on."
I just remember her sitting at recess in the bleachers reading instead of like actually doing anything athletic, and then like when you would come up to talk to her, she would like shut her book very dramatically and hold it to her chest like, oh, my vampire book. And I'm like, okay.
She really wants to be like, I have to protect him.
And we're like, hey, no one's coming from your book, but okay.
Because remember, Star like was like, yeah, like I'll try reading it, and like so
Mm-hmm.
Sophia, lent her the first one. Star took like what, like a day to read it,
Yeah.
and then she was just like, hey, can I get the next one? And Sophia's like, actually no, like I don't think I want to give it to you. You took too long to read it.
Yeah, I think it was like 3 days. It wasn't even a full week. And she was like, you took too long to read the first one, so like I don't trust you with the second one. I'm afraid you're not gonna give it back. And she was like, okay.
I remember Star was like, oh, okay.
Fine.
It's
Um,
not it's not fucking Wuthering Heights. This isn't like the literary masterpiece of our generation.
right. And like I think she was also just reading it to be nice, to like just try to like again find common ground with somebody, because there was four of us. Like there wasn't many options for friends.
Right, like it wasn't like, oh, like I have so much in common with this person. It's just like you are the only other person available to hang out right now.
Can we please just talk about something? Um, but yeah, this is the same girl who, uh, toward the end, like more toward the end of our eighth grade year, I was chosen as valedictorian out of four people. Out
Yeah.
of four people, I was the valedictorian, and they like all me and Sophia's grades were the same throughout like the entire eighth grade year, except for like
You did a little bit better.
a little bit better. Like math, and math was the big thing that she like freaked out about, because she like
Well, remember, that's because she wouldn't let me help her with math. Like she thought she knew everything.
right.
Because as a side story, like I also ended up teaching everybody math.
Because we did online math school, because the teacher that we had didn't know math, so they had us sign up for online math learning. So we would
Yeah.
go to the computer lab to learn math, and whenever any of us had questions, like the principal was overseeing us, by the way, in the computer lab. That's how small the school was. Um, the principal didn't know how to do it, so Vicki was a little ahead of us in math, so we would all go to Vicki for help.
Yeah, everybody was in Algebra 1. I had already taken Algebra 1, so I was like, oh, great, I'll help you guys. They put me in geometry. None of the teachers knew fucking geometry.
True
Like,
story.
I was begging for somebody, like, please teach me geometry. I don't know how to do this. Like, I had to fail out of the class, like the online class 3 times because no teacher could teach me geometry.
Right. So yeah, so I did like slightly better than her in this online math, and their grading scale was different than our grading scale. So she got a B in the online math course where I got an A. However, if you were to take the grading scale from the online math course and put it into our grading scale, technically she would have gotten an A. Okay, so the numbers were slightly off.
Mm.
And she had a literal mental breakdown because I
She
was.
storms out of the room, shoulder checks me. And my initial thing was just like, okay, like, shoulder check, like,
Let's talk.
and so I follow her into the bathroom, find her in like full breakdown, crying. And I'm like, okay, like I can't fight a girl that's crying.
It's
Um,
not a good
so I'm
look.
just like, what happened? And she's like, I deserve to be valedictorian. And she had horse girl energy. She had big horse girl energy without any of the obsession about horses,
Just vampires.
vampires. Anyway,
But yeah, she locked herself in the bathroom and cried incessantly for at least an hour.
oh,
And
they couldn't get her to come out of the
they
bathroom.
could
They
not.
sent me
Mm-hmm.
in to get her out of the bathroom.
Yeah, the teachers could not get her out of the bathroom because she refused to come out because she was not valedictorian. And the whole time I'm sitting there like, cool. Like I not cool that she's like crying, but like cool I'm valedictorian. Like I wasn't something I was like shooting for, just so to have it.
And we were all a little bit smug about it too. We were like,
And so eventually after like an hour of them like pleading for her to come out, like one of the teachers came up to me and was just like, would you mind sharing like valedictorian with Sophia and just being co-valedictorian, so like she'll come out of the bathroom. And I remember being like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. Sure. And
you're bigger than me.
well, Which,
I would have been like, it's me, I win.
which I mean, like she was still salutatorian, but that was not good enough for her.
Yeah, and also like,
Like, who gives a shit about middle school fucking
right,
valedictorians?
especially when your class is like 4 people, one of them never comes to school anyway.
Right? Like, one of them left halfway through the year, and the other one just barely was there. But yeah, so I was just like, yeah, I don't care. I'll share it with her. And then she comes out, and then she's like acting like she fucking won something. Like she got so fucking
Oh
smug.
my
And I was
God.
just like, bitch, I let you have this. Like, do not make me take it back. What up, Twee Mom?
No, no,
The energy in here.
is astronomical.
Um, but yeah, so I like just was like, fine, I'll share it with her. But what pisses me off to this day is it's so petty of me. But like at our graduation, the valedictorians had to give speeches, and I went first, and like my speech was just like we went. It was a small private Lutheran school, so like it was religious. So, um, but I personally am not that particularly religious then, and still not to this day. Um, so like I just made my speech about like thanks to all the teachers, even though they didn't do shit. Thanks to my parents. I'm so glad to have got this education. Blah blah blah. Like very general, just like thanking the people in my life who helped me along the way. And then I ended it. If it's any like kind of indicator of what kind of speech I gave, I ended it with a Legally Blonde quote.
I remember this now, and I remember her speech now.
Yes.
You started talking about the speeches, and I was just like, did I have a stroke? Did I not do I not remember this?
Um, Hotties. Anyway, but yeah, so I ended it with a Legally Blonde quote, and at the end of Legally Blonde, where she's just like, "Congratulations, class of whatever, we did it, right?" That's how I ended my speech. Okay, this is the kind of speech that I gave because I thought that was peak.
That's a lie. You were actually, congratulations, gang.
Okay. Um,
That's what you did.
no, but like I thought that was peak speech writing right there. And then Sophia gets up after me and proceeds to have an entire speech thanking God and all that God has done for her. And
And you didn't mention them once. You were just like,
I didn't
I did
mention.
it. Me. Thank you, family. Thank you, teachers. Fuck you, Jesus. Thank me.
Essentially. And she literally just came up there and was just like, God led me this way. God has helped me through so much. Like, I'm so thankful for my faith. And, but like,
Which
just.
also, I don't think God appreciates your little obsession with vampire boys. Like,
But it just was very heavily like faith related. I remember sitting there in the audience being like, bitch, you trying to one up me on this fucking speech that I gave you? Like, I gave you this opportunity to speak, bitch. Don't make me fucking look stupid.
I remember looking over at you and your fucking face.
Just like, ugh. How long was her speech and your? Oh my, we had our speeches were limited to like 4 minutes. They were very small speeches. It was just like, thanks everybody, we appreciate you, peace out. Like they were very
Yeah.
small. Um, but yeah, so that was Sophia. In a nutshell.
You think she's gonna sue us?
I don't know where she is in life now. I wish the best for her. I hope she's gotten over her vampire obsession and is
That's
just.
nice that you wish the best for her.
I do. I mean, no ill
Can't
will.
relate, but it's nice.
It's been 13 years. I think I could let it go.
No, I'm still mad. She didn't really do anything to me.
I'm still angry. I thought you gave like 2 minutes and she did 15. I don't think so. I think hers was longer, but I don't think by like a drastic amount. She did a straight savage. Um, I'm trying to think. So
Funny things happened in middle school, well, specifically your middle school, before I got there. Like the kid who shoved a pencil up his ass, like the kid who got who ran out of the room and was like hiding all
same
day.
kid, same kid,
Same kid.
same kid, same day, same kid.
Shut up. The pencil precede him running out of the room.
Yeah, so
Was it like someone shoved a pencil up his ass and then he like,
no, he shoved it up his own ass. No. I remember. Okay, no, sorry, I remembered that wrongly. Okay, what
why
happened?
did you remember it like that?
Because I just remember him being so angry. Like I could see him shoving a pencil up his own butt. Doesn't every middle school have someone who shoves a pencil up their ass? I mean, we definitely had one. Um, but no. So what happened was, this is pre Vicky. This is when I was in seventh grade, and this was when the school was slightly bigger, and by that I mean there was like 10 people in each grade instead of four. Um, he didn't really do it. So what happened was we were in English class, and this was, remember, I joined seventh grade like midway through the year too, so I was like a brand new student, and this was like also like my first week in, like maybe 3 days in. This happened to me.
Wait, and you weren't like, Mom, I don't want to come back.
No, honestly, watching some kid have a freaking anger management breakdown was better than the bullying situation I was in, and I was just like, I'm okay. No one's attacking me. It's not on me. Um, So yeah, so essentially what happened was we were in an English class, and this is when we actually had more than one teacher teaching subjects. So we were in an English class with an English teacher, and there was this one kid, Jared, who admittedly definitely had anger issues. Like,
Jared's gonna sue you.
Jared is probably gonna come after me. But this kid, Jared, admittedly 100% legitimately had anger issues. Not making fun of that whatsoever. But at the time, I was like 12, okay? I'm 12 in seventh grade. This shit's funny.
You're
Anyway,
still like 5'8".
true. Um, so, we're in English class, and the kid was just picked on, not relentlessly, but he was the blunt of a lot of jokes. And somebody, I want to say it was Eric, or Haley. It could have been Haley too. It's either Haley or Eric. I can't remember. Eric was an eighth grader at the time when I was in seventh grade. He was like the only boy in the eighth grade class at the time. And one of them leaned over with a sharpened pencil and like held it in his chair as he was coming to sit down, and he proceeded to then sit down on said lead pencil. I don't, like I said, I can't remember who it was. It was either Haley or Eric. And I mean, he sat at it good. It wasn't like, ooh, there's a pencil in my butt. Like, no, there was lead in his ass. And
Oh, so it like stabbed the butt meat.
yes, it didn't go in like his booty hole. It was in the butt meat.
Okay, the first time you guys told me this story, I misheard it as somebody like just to him and just,
No, not what
and
happened.
I was like, oh my God, I've been fucking with the wrong kid. Like, I've been bullying these kids relentlessly, and they're out here like sodomizing people with pencils. Like,
No, so definitely went into definitely went into the butt meat. He had lead in his butt. Like, it was the pencil. I don't think it like when he got up, I don't think the pencil was still in there. I think it like broke off, and like just the tip, like the lead tip, was in his butt. And again, this kid is already have anger issues, and so he popped off, like straight up popped off, and
and
started.
then he slapped one of the teachers.
I think so. I don't remember it 100%. They're gonna get me next. So, anyway, yeah. So he popped off, jumps out of the desk, starts screaming, like full bloody murder screaming.
Tell
Then
me what your face looked like.
I'm just like, what happened? Because I didn't know what had happened at the time. Like, I didn't realize that someone shoved a pencil in this man's ass. I just thought he just fucking lost it. I was like, what is happening? And thank you so much for the follow, the heat. Appreciate that. And thank you for the host as well. Yeah, middle school's fuzzy for me, but they're like, these stories are stories that you just cannot forget. So yeah, he popped off, jumps out of his desk, and was like screaming at everybody, I hate all of you. You all suck. You all are like, just, I hate you. I hate every one of you. And then points at everyone in the classroom, even me, who was like, I'm brand freaking new. He goes,
I remember a part of this.
And he goes, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, and like points at our one friend Star, because Star isn't there at this point. And Star
And
again,
Star also never said a word to him, was probably one of the people who didn't bully him.
right, and then looks at Star for whatever reason and points his finger like really in her face and goes, especially you. And she's like, what the fuck did I do? And then proceeds to grab his desk because the teacher's like, Jared, calm down. Jared,
But he
calm
was like a
down.
big kid, right? He was
Yeah,
like
he was,
strong
yeah,
and like
he was short, but like husky.
burly.
Yes.
Okay.
So he grabs his desk, like by the, it was like one of those chests that had the chair attached, grabs the desk, flings it across the fucking room. Like, just whips that shit. At this point, I'm like, yikes, I'm gonna die today. And the teacher, I think, was like, Jared, you can't do that. And I
Was it
didn't.
Mrs. Utek or Miss?
No, it wasn't Miss Doctor and it wasn't Miss Utek. It was Miss Juliet. I want to say her name was, or Miss
Oh,
Julie or something
I
like
don't think
that.
I
She
knew
left
her.
that year. Understandable. I remember her face. I know her last name started with a J. I can't. I'm not for certain, but she was like screaming at him like, she was like, Jared, you can't do that. You gotta go sit down. Get your desk and sit down. And I can't remember if he then slapped her and ran out, or, or, or just ran out. Um, but he, at some point, he did hit a teacher. I can't remember if this is the same day or if this was a different day, but at some point, he slapped a teacher. But yeah, slapped somebody. And then after he threw the desk, booked it, just ran out of the room, full speed. And we're all like, there goes Jared.
Is he like full Naruto running?
And we were in a very small school. Again, like, not only were the classes small, but it was like a two-story building, each with like three classrooms, like on like six classrooms on each floor. So like three on this side, like three on that side, and then the same thing with like the first floor. And then we had like a chapel, and then there was like a basketball court outside with like a playground in the backyard. Okay, very small. Couldn't go far. And just took off, and we're like, so the teacher like goes out after him, somehow loses him. I don't know what happens. He just apparently outran her. And they had to grab the principal, and all the teachers got together because they could not find this child.
I
And
wonder if they even called his mom to be like, "Hey, we can't find your kid," or they were just like, "Oh, let's find him." Like,
don't know. But they just halted all classes trying to find this kid. And they gathered up all the teachers. They like went on a search party for this child in this small ass building, and probably a good 2.5 hours go by until they find him, and he was hiding in one of the slides in the playground. Like we had like one of those
oh, in the
tunnels.
kindergarten playground, right?
Yes,
Like
in
the
the
little kids.
yes, the little kids had their own special playground. He was hiding in there in one of the tube slides, like so it had a roof on it, and he was just hiding in there. I'm betting the teachers and his parents were secretly hoping he never came back.
Right.
Probably. But yeah, so they found him hiding in the tube slide. And I think he spent the rest of the day in the principal's office. And then he didn't come back, I think, for like a week or two. I think they put him in some sort of therapy for the week. Like his parents, not the school. When he came back, he was a little more mellow. Definitely still had anger issues. But he really did try to be a better person after that, and I feel like that's really fucking sad. That like we pushed him, like not we as in me, but like
No,
as a
it's too
whole.
late. You said we. You admitted culpability. You're getting sued.
Like as a whole, that poor kid was pushed to that limit. Oh no, we can't find Timmy. Shoot. 5 minutes later. But yeah, so that was before Vicky was even there, and I was still like, this is the school for me.
I can't imagine what that must have done to like your 12-year-old brain. Like,
I like you just gotta realize how much trauma I had from my previous school that I was still like, yes, this is the better school. This is okay. I can handle this. I couldn't handle that.
oh my God. And there was there was another thing that happened before I came.
Yes, it is in Florida. Yeah, in Florida. Florida schools. I'm trying to think of the other thing that happened. I mean, there's like a Jake story that's kind of funny. That was before you came. That was literally again my first, like, all this shit happened my first week there. So it was like my first day, and they sat me next to this kid named Jake. He was also in seventh grade, and he was just like
This guy in the whole world.
weird. But again, I'm brand spanking new. I don't fucking know. So like I sit down, he's like talking to me, and I'm like, yeah, blah blah blah. Like, okay, cool. He seems normal enough. And we start talking about like Super Mario Sunshine, because I remember at the time I was like really big into Mario and stuff like that too. And then he was like, "Oh yeah, you play that?" And I was like, "Yeah." And we started talking about the levels and stuff. And at some point, like, we go into the recess or something, and it was like the same freaking day. Thank you for the lurk, Nick. And it was the same day, and we go into recess, and one of the eighth grade girls, Felicia or Felicity? No, Felicity's your friend. Felicia.
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 I remember Sophia was just like, if Felicia shows up, you got me, right? Like, you're gonna fight her with me, right? And I was just like,
Okay.
why not?
Um, but yeah, so Felicia, she was like the popular girl out of like 10 girls. Again, not impressive. But she was just like the popular girl, and she was dating the one eighth grade boy, Eric. And she came up to me, and she was just like, "Do you like Jake?" And I was just like, I I don't know him like that. Like, it's literally my first day here, and I've known it. I've had one conversation with him. Like, I don't think he's a bad person, but I don't like him like that, if that's what you're asking.
That reminds me of those like POV TikToks of like the popular girl like coming to sit at your lunch table and she's like, I'll talk to him for you.
Yeah, right.
I got you.
I got
Guys, I'm trying to talk to my bestie here.
those trigger me so much.
They don't trigger me because I was her.
Oh my god. But yeah, and so it's like, I don't know, like, not really. I've had one conversation with this kid, and they're like, okay, because like he likes all the girls, so like just watch out. And I know for a fact he already likes you. And I was like,
She had a point though. She did.
she did, very
Yeah.
valid point. But at the time, I was just like, okay, like, just let me have my first day, please. And after that, I tried to avoid him because I didn't want the girls to hate me because this kid was talking to me for whatever reason. So it was just, it's a
And that's a
weird.
reasonable response for somebody who was like bullied really badly, like to come into a new environment and be like, I'm gonna do whatever and not be hated.
Right. So it's just like, okay, like, I won't talk to him anymore. Like, I don't want him to, like, I don't want to cause drama. I won't talk to the kid.
Hmm.
So I just kind of avoided him from that point. And then like a bunch of people, like, so eighth grade of course graduated and moved on to high school, and then a lot of the seventh graders that we had in seventh grade wind up like leaving and going to a different school. So like the time eighth grade rolled around, there was just four of us left. I remember being a dick and throwing rocks at things. Did anyone actually date each other? Like I said, Felicia and Eric were dating. I remember because as much as dating you could do at fucking 13, but like, I remember because
Taylor dated Jake,
Taylor did Jake for a little bit.
but she was in seventh grade.
Six.
She was in sixth grade?
She was in six.
No, she was in seventh grade. She was supposed to be in sixth.
Okay, that's right. Okay.
She was just like hella tall.
Yeah.
And Jake was in ninth grade.
Yeah. At this point, we were not at Shepherd anymore.
They were toxic people, both of them.
Yeah.
Tell them.
I'll tell them the story.
Okay.
But yeah, at some point, I just want to point out, like, some point, I think Eric got mono first, and then Felicia soon after got mono. So like they gave each other mono. So they were making out at some point, but like that's all I remember. Um, but yeah, so Taylor was this girl who joined seventh grade when we were in eighth grade, but she only stayed for like not even a whole year.
Yeah. She was there before I got there and left before we graduated.
Yeah, so she was only there for a couple months. She had a lot going on too. I don't know, but um,
I was friends with her on Facebook and like she was like cussing some girl out and her mom replied in the comments like, "Get him, honey." I was like,
yeah, she had a lot of probably trauma going on in her life that I was not made aware of. But so anyway, me and this girl, like Taylor, she was okay. Like we got along decently enough in school, and then at some point she invited me over to her house, and get her. She invited me over to her house, and I remember like getting there, and we were just like hanging out, and we're in her bedroom, and she had this little rat dog, and I'm not a big fan of small dogs in the first place, but again, I'm an animal person, so like okay. But this dog was so musty and disgusting, and like she would let it on her bed. And I was sitting on the bed, and the bed was like covered in dog fur. And I'm slightly allergic to dogs, even though I still have them. Like, I can't like pet a dog and then like rub my face, otherwise, like my nose gets like really stuffy and my eyes start to
"Well, you
water.
just live in misery." So,
Yeah, I live in misery. So like I have this like slight allergy to dogs, and so like with me sitting on the bed and I had like a shit ton of dog fur on it, like it was really causing my nose to like bother me a lot,
I think
and
you're rationalizing.
I honestly that's what happened, but okay.
Okay, I think we should be accountable.
I am being accountable. I remember my
Okay.
allergies being bad,
Mm-hmm. Go on.
and yeah, so I asked her like, "Hey, can we like make keep the dog off the bed while I'm here? Like, it's just really bothering my allergies. Like, don't know why, but this dog in particular is like fucking me up." And she was just like, "No, that's like my baby. I like she's always allowed on the bed. Like, she's on the bed no matter what. Like, I sleep with her. She's gonna be on my bed." And I was just like, "Oh, okay, cause like." Can we not? I'm like, I'm your guest. Can you just at least just do this? And just didn't give a fuck. And at some point, so like some of her neighbor friends came over and like were downstairs, and her bed was up, like her bedroom was upstairs, and she was like, "Oh, just wait here. I'm just gonna go talk to my friends." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And so I'm sitting on her bed, and I could hear her downstairs like chatting with her friends or whatever, and the little shithead red
And they were
dog.
mean to you. They were
Yes,
mean to you while you were there.
yes. I think they were like making fun of me, and I could overhear them or something or other.
Or like purposely like excluding you or something.
Yeah, again, it's
Yeah.
fuzzy. This is the dog kicking story. Um, so yeah, the dog is jumps up on the bed, and I'm sitting there and I'm looking at this dog, and I'm like, this day sucks. And I proceed to then eat the dog off the bed. I kick it. I kick the dog off the bed. Like I just boop off the bed, and because I was freaking mad, she wasn't around. Baxter. And she literally at that point was at the door, and I didn't look before I kicked the dog. I just kicked it, and she was like, "You just kicked my dog. I saw you do that."
No, first she asked, "Did you just kick my dog?"
Oh, that's right.
Because you denied it. And you were like, "No."
No.
And she was, "Yeah, you did. I saw you."
And I was like, "Well, I asked you to keep it off the bed." And was it like a punt kick or like a push kick? It was in between. I definitely kicked it off with some force, but I didn't like kick it to the point where like it yelped or anything. Like I just kind of like, it was like an aggressive push kick. So yeah, I did. I woke up and chose violence that day. um, I also want to talk about Mr. Miller.
I don't think I wasn't there
You
for
weren't
him.
there for Mr. Miller, so this is before Vicky got there. But I definitely want to talk about this story. So the violence come. So before Vicky was there at the small school, we used to have, like I said, we used to have a teacher for like at least every subject. Sometimes they would teach two subjects. But once we got into 8th grade, a lot of the students left and a lot of the teachers left. It was like just a communal leave. And so we had no teacher. Like our normal homeroom 8th grade teacher left, and they couldn't find somebody to replace him that was qualified. Let's just put it that way. Was not qualified. So the only man that they found in between summer of 7th grade and 8th grade. Makes sense why she runs over and over. Yeah, so in between 7th and 8th grade, they found this man, went by Mr. Miller. And he was Allegedly. He was a middle school or high school coach, okay? Like, he was not academic at all. Like, he did not teach any subjects. He literally just taught sports at whatever school he came from. And they hired this man to be our homeroom teacher and teach us literally every single subject, okay? And he was an absolute idiot. He was also absolutely disgusting of a person. Me and a couple other girls would frequently catch him trying to look down, because we had to wear uniforms, because we were, again, in a small private school.
And they were like polo shirts with like 3 buttons right here.
Mm-hmm. And so they would like, we wouldn't button them all the way up like this, because like who the fuck wants to walk around like that? So it would look like this, essentially, like how my shirt does now. And but they'd be looser because they would be collared, and he would like walk by pretending to be checking our work as we're doing it, and he would be trying to like stare down our fucking shirts. And granted, we are 12 and 13 years old, so like it's hella creepy. And we caught him multiple times doing this, and like we reported him to the principal, like, hey, this guy's a fucking creepazoid. Like, we've caught him just trying to stare down our shirts. He doesn't know what he's doing. I literally, one time, there was a history lesson, and we had a question about history, and he goes, like, we asked him, and he goes, also, he talked in third person. Should have been a red flag right there. But he goes, Mr. Miller doesn't know history, but Mr. Miller sure does know football.
Mr. Miller, no think much, but talk good.
Yeah, so literally that was my history teacher, or that was my teacher. Like, I don't know Mr. Miller doesn't know history, but Mr. Miller knows football. And so we like reported him because like we said like he doesn't know what he's talking about. He has no idea. He's a creep, whatever. So apparently after a couple weeks of time of us reporting him, the principal finally decided to come and sit in on one of the classes to try to figure out to see if our accusations had any merit. Okay. And I didn't know that the principal had came into the room because I was in the middle of this assignment. I did not look up. I was just looking down, and the principal came in and sat in the back of the room. And for reference, our principal was also our pastor. Okay.
What was his name? Dave?
Yeah, Pastor Dan.
Dan. Okay.
Pastor Dan, the principal. And yeah, so I didn't know. Also, I just want to side note this. Pastor Dan had a fucked up pinky. Like a real fucked up
pinky.
Did he? Yeah. Gross ass pinky. I don't know what the fuck happened to it, but it was all like bent, and it looked like it had been broken, but it never like set, right? He had a fucked up pinky. But anyway, so yeah, I was sitting there doing my assignment, and Mr. Miller came over and was like, oh, can I help you with anything or something, blah, blah, blah. And I looked up at him and I was like, yeah, I really don't understand, like, this question. Like, it's not worded properly. Because, again, man is an idiot. And he was just like, you can figure it out. You can just read it again and just figure it out. Like, gave me a real bullshit answer. And I remember he walked away, like, he turned his back and walked away from me, and I just flipped him the fucking bird.
And I think how you did it, I remember you specifically, you went,
yeah,
like with the shaking.
With the shaking. Like, it wasn't just like it was like a fuck you. And, the principal was just like, I saw that. And I was just like, oh shit, when did you get here? And brought me down to the principal's office, and he proceeded to like tell me like, I know he's terrible. I know you guys have had a lot of issues with him, but you can't.
I know he's terrible.
Like, we're working on it, but like, you can't be flipping off your teachers. and like I just started bawling. I was
Right,
just
and he was gearing up to like give you some kind of punishment, like
yeah.
detention or
He had
something.
said like you have to like I know like you're just frustrated with all this, but I'm gonna have to give you 2 days of detention. Like, you have to face responsibilities for your actions. And I just started bawling. I'm like full blown crying. I was like,
Oh, because he
please
was
don't.
so uncomfortable with like
And
tears.
tears, especially like teenage girls who just didn't
Yeah.
know how to handle that. And so like I'm crying. He's just like, I'm sorry. Like, okay.
He's apologizing to you now.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I don't understand. You don't understand what we're going through. And I'm like crying. And he's like, okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like, don't cry. Okay. You don't have to do the detention. Okay, you don't have to do the detention, but I'm going to have to call your parents and let them know what you did. And I'm like, please don't call my parents. They don't, like, I don't
I
want
don't know
them.
if your mom would have cared. Would
I,
she have?
I don't think so. In retrospect, I don't think she would have cared. She'd have been like,
I
what?
feel like your dad might have been like, Jessica, what the fuck? But I think your mom would have been like, oh my God, big deal. She got caught.
Yeah. But I was just like, please don't call my parents, please. Like, I don't want them to know. And all this shit. And he goes, okay, okay. Like, I won't call your parents, but I think you should tell them. That's all he said. Like, I think you should tell them, but I won't call your parents.
I'll leave it up to you.
I'll leave
You
it up
got
to you.
this. You, the 12-year-old, you got it.
And I was just like, okay. And he goes, you don't have to do detention. Just spend the rest of your day in this office and just do your homework. And that's gonna be your punishment. I was like, okay. So I sat there and did flashcards for like there was only like 2 hours left in the day, so I just sat there for a couple hours and did flashcards. And he never did tell my parents, and I never did tell them either.
On a related note to Pastor Dan, the spelling bee.
Please do talk about the spelling bee.
So I qualified for the state spelling bee, which like none of us even was like, yeah, like we want to be in the spelling bee. Like they just submitted our fucking scores. Like, and they were like, okay, like, and also I kind of feel like they were like, we got an Indian now. We're running with this,
We got a shot this year.
right? So I'm like in the car with Pastor Dan. He's driving and he's like making the weirdest small talk. And then he's just like, you wanna hear a funny story? And I was just like, okay. And he was just like, I knew a pastor once from the Congo, and his name was Ibango Bongo. And I was just like, I know that guy. That's actually my friend Felicity's dad. And he was just like, oh, you're kidding. You know him? And I was, well, he didn't even sound like that. I don't know why I'm making him sound cool. He is. But I was just like, yeah. And he like didn't believe me. Like he kept saying like, no way, no way. And I was just like, no, I'm not lying to you. And then, mind you, like this is a Lutheran school. I had just gotten kicked. I had just left Catholic school, and he had my transcripts from there. And he's driving, and he's just like, so so like what is your family Muslim? And I was like, what? And he was just like, yeah, like you guys are Islam?
You guys are Islam.
And I was just like, um, I'm like, I'm still not making any connections in my brain, like what he's trying to ask me. And I was just like, no. And then he was just like, oh, okay, I just figured because And then he went,
Oh my god.
and I was just like, oh, that's actually Hindu. And he was just like, yeah, Islam. And I was just like, dude, you're a pastor. Like,
You have no idea
hello?
how other religions work.
Right. And like, so after that, we drive to the spelling bee in absolute silence.
Understandably.
He decides to take the road with the most strip clubs, like fucking ever. Right? There's like solid gold, pure platinum, pink
Cheetah.
pony, like cheetah, like all on one corner. And um, then we get there, we go to the spelling bee. These words are hard as shit. I don't know any of them. Okay, like I was smart for our school. I'm very average. And then like oh yeah, so like the one other Indian kid in there like runs up to me and he's like maybe he's like in the fifth grade and he's like he starts shit talking me. And I was like,
Could you imagine being
okay,
shit
like
talked by a 10-year-old?
right? And like and he's just like, yeah, like I'm gonna do so well. Like I've already been in this spelling bee and this spelling bee and this spelling bee. How many have you been in? I was like, this is my first one. He's like, oh, I remember my first one. And I was like, I don't even want to, I didn't even agree to this. Like, by the way, my family, my parents, nobody signed any permission slip to let me be in the car with the pastor.
So he
Okay.
just
Like,
essentially kidnapped you.
right. They were just like, we're taking the one brown kid we have on a marketing expedition. And so we go and like, I don't qualify.
Shocker.
And right, like, and this fucking kid finds me again. And he's like, so how did you do? And I was like, I'm leaving. And he was just like, oh, you didn't make it? And I was just like, finally, I was just like, no, fuck you, kid, I didn't make it. And then Pastor Dan was like there. He was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Come on.
His only
And
de-escalation tactic.
right? Whoa,
Come on, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm
whoa,
sorry,
whoa.
but whoa.
And so we're getting in the car, and I'm just pissed. Like, I'm not pissed that I didn't get into the spelling bee that I didn't sign up for, didn't want to go to, and wasn't given an option to do. I'm pissed that some 10-year-old shit talked me and I didn't stick him in his shit. And so we're in the car, and I'm like, this. And he's just like, like, and he's driving, he's like, spelling bees are dumb. And I'm like, dude, like, you, I, I can't have any kind of conversation with you again. And then he's just like, you want to listen to some music?
He plays death metal.
I wish. And I was just like, okay. And I shit you not, he starts playing fucking Weird Al Yankovic.
This is what the kids like nowadays. I'm hip.
Right? So like we listened to like fucking The Saga Begins, okay? Like the rip of like American Pie, but with like Anakin Skywalker.
Right.
And he was just like drumming his fingers on the steering wheel to it and like nodding his head off beat. And I'm like, isn't this like this beat like isn't this like middle-aged white dude anthem? Like, how are you off beat to it? Anyway, um, after that, I never knew how to spell anything again.
I just
I
turned
can't
off that
read.
part of my brain.
Yeah, I went home and I immediately just caved in my stop spot on the back of my head. And I was like, I don't want that memory anymore.
Bop, bop, and then do it again. Bop, bop. um, yeah, shit. And then I also want to like talk about the story like where you punched Hanson in the fucking chest.
Oh my god! I can't believe I. Well, first, like background about Hanson. Okay, like.
So this is when we were in 8th grade. Hanson is one of the boys that is in 7th grade. So 7th grade was made up of 3 boys. It was Hanson
And briefly one girl.
And briefly one girl.
Yeah.
It was Hanson, Michael, and Nicholas, and then briefly Fiorella. And
oh yeah, Fiorella.
Yeah. And Fiorella had a younger brother who was in 6th grade who used to like to call me chicken legs. And I fucking hated that kid.
Okay. Do you remember when me and Fiorella's little brother, like, we would just shit talk each other all day,
Yeah.
right? Like, we would walk by each other in the hallway, and he'd be like, your breath stinks. And I'd be like, you should have been an abortion. And like, right? And then one day, one of the teachers caught him shit talking me, but didn't hear my response, and they made him write an apology letter to me.
Yes.
And it was the most gaslighty apology letter ever. It was just like, I'm sorry that I made fun of you because you made fun of me and because you deserved it.
And they literally proofread that before they handed it to you and were just like, that's good enough.
right? But I loved it and I kept it on my wall for like 3 years. I thought it was the funniest thing in the world. But fucking Hanson, Michael, and who's the other? Nicholas,
Nicholas.
right? Like they were all obsessed with RuneScape. And they would do this thing called the RuneScape Conga. Would like I have to get up to like
So
okay.
yeah, so essentially
Oh,
they would like all be behind each other in a
right.
conga line, and then like
And
grab
like
each other's leg and do like RuneScape,
right,
RuneScape,
like they would all be
RuneScape.
like grabbing each other's legs, right? But their legs would be straight out, and then they would be doing like
A
this
train
movement,
motion.
right? And like and then while they were doing that, they'd be like RuneScape, 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 right? And like they thought that we were laughing because we all thought it was so funny. We were laughing at them,
At them, not with them.
right? And Hanson, to put it in perspective, was like, what was he, like 5'8", like 103 pounds,
Yeah, very, very tall, skinny
bird
white kid.
chest, and very blonde, like typical like Danish kid.
Yeah, he
His
was
name
like,
was Hanson.
yeah, he was like
Like
strawberry blonde hair, blue eyes, freckles, like pale as fuck, like paler than me.
his mom would show up to rub sunscreen on him before recess or PE
Every day.
every day.
Every day.
And sometimes she would just show up during our lunch period to hold his hand.
And eat lunch with him. True story.
And we all thought it was hysterical.
We
And
all
we would
made
all
fun
like
of him.
snicker and make fun of him. And but like to his credit, he was never just like, you guys stop. He was very much just like, I love my mom. So what?
Poor Hanson.
But he also did like some of the most annoying things ever.
Very true.
Like he would do this, like sometimes we would just be in the library like hanging out and he would kick open the door and scream, "This is Sparta,"
I do remember
which
that.
like as an adult, that's hysterical. Being on the receiving end of that, annoying. So annoying. And he would also like if he saw any of us walking in pairs, like if this is me and this is Jessica, he would run up behind us, shoving his fucking hands right in between us, shove us apart. And me and Jessica are like 80 fucking pounds at this point, okay?
On a
Like,
good day.
yeah. And actually 80 pounds combined.
Right?
And he would fucking shove us apart and go, "Excuse me, boys."
Excuse me, boys! And like
And he
push
thought it
himself
was
in between us.
so funny. He thought it was so funny, and it was infuriating to me. And I feel like you were annoyed by it. Star was annoyed by it. Haley was annoyed by it. I was pissed off.
Yeah, it hit you a whole different way.
Like something about it didn't hit me right. And so we're at PE and we're supposed to be doing running laps. Jessica and I are walking as we are prone to do. And Hanson, "Excuse me, boys," us once. And I remember you trying to calm me down.
Yeah.
I remember you being like, "He's annoying, like he's stupid, don't bother." And I was just like, "No, like he needs to learn his lesson."
I'll be right. You
He's
can keep talking. I'm gonna be here. I'm
okay.
just gonna cut my video for a second.
Yeah. So I'm like, he needs to learn his lesson and he needs to learn it today. And so I'm waiting for him to do his next lap. Jessica's still trying to de-escalate me. And I hear his fucking little floppy ass, because he also had like size like fucking 13 feet. Like he was literally built like Goofy and probably still is. Hanson, if you're watching this, fuck you. Um, so he did the "excuse me, boys" again, and I turned around and I nailed him right in the center of his little bird chest. And I remember I thought I broke his rib because I heard a crunch.
Yeah, she like full blown like Captain Falcon punched this kid in the
Yeah.
chest.
I remember making the joke that like when I punched you in the boob that I depressurized your cabin. Like I really think I fucked up his chest, really, because I remember he was like crumple in. And I remember Michael was right behind him, and Michael was fucking shocked and appalled.
Mm-hmm.
Michael sidestepped and ran around us. And um, then I immediately realized what I did, and I'm just like, "Shit, shit, shit, walk, walk, walk."
Yeah, you like grabbed me.
So,
You're like, you gotta go.
So we're actually power walking, like probably the most physical activity we've done in PE, period.
True.
And I remember you telling me, like, his mom is gonna be so mad. And she was, because she came looking for me and I hid in the bathroom.
Yeah, she came looking for the kid that punched her son in the chest, and she hid in the bathroom, and none of us would tell her where she was or who she was.
Yeah.
Even the teachers were like, "Oh yeah, we saw that happen." They were just like, "Oh
Well, the
no."
teachers, anytime that I like freaked out on Hanson and Michael, like the teachers were just like, suddenly I can't see anything. Like, because they were so annoyed with them too.
Right.
Because I remember there was one day they were just pissing us off. And I was just like, you guys are so annoying. None of us like you. The only one that we like is Nicholas because he's quiet. You guys are annoying. Like, when you guys leave here, I hope you die. And
And to be fair, one of them got arrested.
one of them did get arrested. And I remember Mrs. Utek when they like looked at her like, hey, like she just said this to me. She goes, you guys are very annoying.
The teachers there were literally just supervisors to make sure we didn't full blown kill each other. Like we could beat the shit out of each other and they'd be like, "You deserve that one."
Yeah,
But as long as we didn't kill anybody, they're like, "Good day. It was a good day. Thank you
like
so much for that follow. Appreciate it."
like Miss Utek was behind us on the stairs when Star like karate chopped your butthole, and she was just like, anyway, like
Yeah. Also, for reference to, we had to so for recess, we had a tether ball. Like they like randomly got a tether ball, and it was like the greatest thing. Like everyone loved the fucking tether ball, but the boys would go so hard.
oh my god, like the sounds they would make when like not only would they be grunting, but the sounds of their fists connecting with the tether ball was like fucking lightning cracks. So they got two tether balls, like one for the boys to play, and then the rest of us to play like Weenie Hut Junior on.
Yeah, because like the one that the boys had like a really thick ass rope, like super thick rope, and like
Because they
so
fucked up the other one so many times.
right, so they like put it on a super thick rope, and then the girls' tether ball was on this thin ass string, like fishing lure practically, because we couldn't hit it that hard. So they were like, "Oh, it's just splurge on one," and
Yeah.
and they would just sit there and wail on the fucking tetherball. But they got bored just playing with the three of them, and they would like to beat up on us girls, so they would try to sneak off and go to the girls' tetherball and like beat the shit out of that one. And we would
Right? Like we would get to
complain.
hit it one time, and then they just be like bap 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 bap, and it would be like
Whipping. And so anytime they came over to the girls' one, we'd all complain to the teachers, like, they're at our tetherball again.
right, or we'd suddenly be like, oh no, like I'm suddenly done with tetherball, like I'm gonna go sit on the hot cement for the next 45 minutes.
Yeah, because we were literally on a basketball court, like, with no basketballs. We just had a basketball court to play on and some tetherball. Like, that's it. That was our extent of our recess.
They got into a fist fight with each other once. Do you remember that
I
over
don't.
tetherball?
I don't remember the fist fight.
Hanson and Michael were like brawling on the floor, like rolling and like punching each other because like they got mad over it or whatever. And I remember Pastor Dan came over and he was like trying to pull them apart. And I didn't even get in trouble, but I started booing. And he like pulls them apart and they're still like trying to get at each other, but they're both also like 90 pounds each.
Right.
Pastor Dan was like 6'2" and like 220.
Now, big
Like
dude. Big dude.
big dude, no brains, but fucking and I remember because we made so many jokes, we were just like, Hanson's mom is gonna come fight Michael.
I also specifically remember you having like a bad day at recess, and there was like a gate
Oh, I
that
think it was like a bad 4 months.
could have been. Um,
Yeah.
but we had a gate that would swing open out to like the road on the basketball court, because when it came time for pickup, they would use the basketball court as like our pickup loop. So they had like a big open gate that they would open up to let the cars in. And so, but eventually the gate like dug a groove into the asphalt that was like a perfect like half circle. And I remember one day you were sitting on the fence inside the half circle that it created, and you told everyone they couldn't get inside your circle. And
I
so,
right. I was just like, this is my circle. You can come inside of it with which honestly, amazing boundaries. Amazing boundary setting. And then I remember somebody got really mad because I would only let Jessica Johnson in
yes,
for a long time because she was so adorable.
she was like a
She was
fifth
just so
grader. There was
yeah,
like
she was
so
this fifth
tiny.
grader who was like when she was born, she was a premature baby, so she was always like super, super small. She cried very easily. She just broke my fucking heart. So
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, yeah, Jessica Johnson can come in, but also I wouldn't. And then fucking Noelle would be outside of it. And then I upgraded the rules. I was like, well, no, actually, your name has to be Jessica to come in.
And then so like I would sit there, because before like I would sit on the outside of the circle, just on the outside of the circle, being like, hey, let's hang
Yeah,
out.
you'd be like, hey, what's going on? Why are you doing this right now? And I think I did that for like a solid 4 months.
Yeah, I remember
I
that.
remember that. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the
Or
girl. There's like some weird feedback on your end. Did something change?
no.
Okay, I think it's better now. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, so
Oh,
the other
you're
girl that
hearing Robin.
okay, the girl
Mm-hmm.
that we were making fun of as well. There was another fifth grader who was Jessica Johnson's best friend, and everyone made fun of this girl because for whatever reason she walked on her like the ball of her feet.
Mean kid.
Also a mean kid, also a very mean kid, but would walk on
And
the
she hated
balls.
that people were nice to her friend Jessica.
She would walk on the balls of her feet, even in like sneakers and stuff. So her heels never touched the ground. So she would be walking on the balls of her feet, and she had like little jingle bells tied to her laces. So whenever she would walk anywhere, she would walk like this, and it'd be like jingle, 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 and you could hear her coming from the fucking hallway. Like even if you were in the classroom, you could hear her walking down the hallway if she was like going to the bathroom. So we just always made fun of her, called her
Which,
Jingle.
funny story, next year, I'm a freshman year of high school. I'm sitting in the auditorium and I hear jinglings coming up behind me. And I was like, no, no fucking way. And I turn around and she was there. Like,
Oh man.
fuck. Anyway, um,
I'm trying to
or
think.
what
So
about you playing spit with the boys?
that was a good time. So
Yeah.
we would, and in addition to like recess, we also had like indoor free time. I think that we'd get on Fridays, and what we would do is we'd always get a deck of cards and play spit. If you've never played spit, it's like a very like aggressive game. So essentially, what you do is you have to like stack um, corresponding cards on top of each other. So like
I think you split the deck in half.
yeah.
Like, I would get half, you would get half.
Mhm.
And we like rapid flip. And the
Mhm.
second it's like 4, 5, or 6, 7, or something like that, you say spit or something and you try to slap it.
Yeah, I honestly I forget the rules of spit. It's been so long, but there was some point like in the game you had to fucking slap the deck, and you wanted to slap the smaller deck because you were trying to get rid of your cards. Like that was the point of the game. And,
Mm-hmm.
and the boys again would play it so fucking viciously that they would be like whacking the shit out of these cards that none of the girls wanted to play with them anymore
Yeah.
because our hands would get smashed.
And also, like, I don't think any of us were like fast enough because none of us were good at cards. You're
Right.
good at cards.
So, like, whenever the boys needed another player, they would always only ask. It was so funny because they would, like, come over to me, like,
Oh, yeah, they would walk over to
you
you
want to
at
play
lunch and
spit?
they'd be like, do you want to play spit?
Yeah, like, they would be like, one of these, like, you want to play spit?
Yeah. And you'd be like, okay, and you would get up, and then me and Star would instantly be like, oh my God, they're gonna start dating.
Right, because I was the only one who was half decent at fucking cards.
I was just like, I remember Star was like, yeah, she's gonna end up with a crush on one of them. And then I was like, oh my God, what if it was Hanson? Sorry about that.
Sorry about that. It's okay. Oh my gosh. Is there any other really good stories?
Um, Off the top of my head, no. Some of these characters are gonna make reappearances,
Yeah, for sure.
but other than that, I think that's middle school.
I think that's a very good chunk of middle school. Like that is essentially what
Yeah.
happened. Like I said, every day was an adventure, but those are the big stories that stuck out. And like I said, we were just being supervised. I can't tell you a thing I learned in middle school. I'm surprised I made it through high school the way I did. No, with the education I got in middle school.
I think me teaching you math definitely helped.
I mean, I suck at math now, so I definitely didn't retain it.
I lost all of my math capabilities.
Like I literally look
Um,
at a simple algebraic like fucking question now, and I'm just like, hmm,
I can do maybe up to algebra 2, and then I'm like, empty head, no thoughts.
I can't even do like algebra two. I get past like, I get up to long division. I'm like, ugh, this is rough. I don't remember this.
Yeah, like I'm,
I agree, but no one needs math anyway. That's exactly what calculators are for.
yeah, but
So hopefully this sheds some light on some of the characters that we have mentioned previously in some of our streams and like chat and stuff, and like shed some light on some of the stories that that we've constantly referred back to because, as you can see, they are absolute gems.
yeah, and also, I mean, like, if you guys thought I was chaotic now,
You obviously,
um,
it's kind of crazy to think that all this happened in a year and a half time. Like all that shit, year and a half of school, not even like summer. Like that was just school days, a year and a half.
yeah, definitely. Um,
But yeah, so I think we're gonna probably call the podcast here. We've been streaming for a good like hour 15 minutes, and I feel like that's a solid
yeah,
podcast. Um, we're planning definitely on doing more of these. Like I said, we're trying to and hopefully go in chronological order is our goal. So next we'll probably be talking about high school, um, and then we'll probably have specific episodes just for main characters of our high school days. Um,
is Comrade gonna be making an appearance in any of your high school stories?
I mean, he doesn't even remember who I was, so maybe he doesn't deserve to have his shout out. But yeah, I mean, high school honestly was compared to middle school much more mellow because, or at least for me, not for her,
Yeah, I was about to say my high school was incredibly chaotic.
because she went to essentially the same situation, just level up. I went back to public school, so her and I went to different high schools. So I went back to
Yeah.
public school. So my high school experience is much different than hers. So I don't have a lot of crazy stories from high school. I just have a crazy person from high school. But that's gotta be its whole
Um,
no old episode because those stories are long and
that one
winded.
should be a pseudonym.
Yeah. But um falls off the deep end. But yeah, so I don't know when we're gonna be doing the next one of these. It's definitely gonna be same day, like a Sunday at 6 p.m. We're not sure if we want to do these bi-weekly or monthly. Just given how much like topic we have, we don't want to run out of content too fast, and it just kind of also depends on our schedules. But I will definitely let you guys know when the next podcast is, and if you want to catch the whole VOD ever again, or if you for whatever reason missed the stream or missed a chunk of it and you don't want to watch it on Twitch, I plan on uploading these to YouTube. And if you are on YouTube right now and you're watching this video, please check out our Twitch. So I'm streaming right now from my personal Twitch. This is twitch.tv/JessThePeach. We doing this live. That's why you kind of see us looking over and reading some of the comments here and there. So we do these live for about an hour, and then I upload the VODs to YouTube. But yeah, thank you guys so much for hanging out, listening to our crazy ass stories. Can't wait to give you guys some more craziness and some games and other stuff. So thank you so much for hanging out, listening to us babble. Essentially, it's been fun. It's been real, and yeah, we'll catch you guys next time. Bye. It's Stay Peachy Keen, guys. I'll see you guys later.
Woo! Hey, okay, just the peach. You know she bring the heat. This is how we do it every time that she get on the stream. Call of Duty representing the competition ducking. I gotta say I love it when she playing FPS's. Yeah, she way better than average. Y'all gon' need more practice. Sweet as a peach, but never hesitate to turn to just a savage. Trust that you will be entertained. Playing so many kind of games. Got the chat so hella lit. Really, it's an everyday thing. Yeah, keep it so hype every time she on the stream. You already know we gotta stay peachy keen.